This is a B1 level grammar lesson, and today we're going to be talking about third conditionals to describe past mistakes. All right, so match each scenario to the conditional sentence. You can pause the video and try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So every day Joy eats breakfast. She believes that it gives her energy. So she won't have any energy if she doesn't eat breakfast. Jen fell at work. Unfortunately, she broke her arm. If she hadn't fallen, she would not have broken her arm. And Michael wants to go to dinner with a friend tonight. He doesn't think he can go because he has a lot of work to do. If he didn't have so much work, he would go to dinner with his friend. All right, so now look at the sentences again. Which sentence refers to the present or the future, and which sentence refers to the past? So she won't have any energy. That it would be the future if she doesn't eat breakfast in the present. If he didn't have so much work to do, if he didn't have so much work, he would go to dinner with his friends. So this part refers to the past, and this is the future, or present and the future. And if she hadn't fallen, she would not have broken her arm. These are both referring to the past. All right, look at the situation. Last week, Rachel came to New York for 3 days. Yesterday, Sally, who lives in New York, learned this information. When she speaks to Rachel, Sally said, "If I had known you were in town, I would have met you for lunch." So the third conditional talks about an action and result in the past that did not happen. So this is an untrue statement about a situation in the past. If I had known that you were in town, I would have met you for lunch. So in truth, Sally did not know that Rachel was in town, and Sally did not meet Rachel for lunch. So in these, you're going to match the beginning and the end to create a conditional. And you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So if you hadn't left your passport at home, you would have caught the plane. If Owen had worked late last night, he would have finished the report. If I hadn't taken the 10:40 a.m. train, I wouldn't have arrived home on time. And if it hadn't rained so much last weekend, we would have gone to the beach. We're going to look at this example. If it hadn't rained so much last week, we would have gone to the beach. So the if clause tells us about a situation that is untrue. It did rain last weekend. The result clause tells us about a result that's untrue. We didn't go to the beach. Now look at the conditionals. So for each one, make two statements in the past about what happened. So for example, if we had known you were in town, we would have called you. We didn't know, we didn't call you. So again, try the rest of these on your own and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. If I had understood the question, I would have written an answer. So I didn't understand. And I didn't write an answer. If we had arrived on time, we would have caught the 3 p.m. train. So we didn't arrive on time. And we didn't catch train. If we hadn't eaten that fish, we would have gotten sick. We wouldn't have gotten sick. So we ate the fish and we got sick. If Tim and Zoe had invited us to their party, we would have gone to it. They didn't invite us. and we didn't go. If you hadn't fallen asleep during the film, you would have understood it. You fell asleep. You didn't understand. If Diana hadn't texted during class, the teacher would not have taken her phone away. So she texted. Teacher took her phone. If Henry had eaten breakfast, he would have won the race. So didn't eat, and he didn't win. All right, so in the third conditional, the if clause, we have the if plus the past perfect, which is had plus the third form of the verb. And the result clause is would have plus the third form of the verb. So here's some examples. If you had called, I would have told you about it. If you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have known about it. If you had warned her, she wouldn't have done it. And if you hadn't listened to me, it would have happened. So look at the verb in the present form, the past form, and the past participle form. So we have be, was, were, and been, have, had, and had, get, got, and gotten in American English and got in British English. Great, so you need to use the verb 3 in the if clause and the result clause. Verb 3 is always also called the past participle. If I had known, I would have told you. So can you remember the past participle or verb 3 for these irregular verbs? So go ahead and try those on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So hear, heard, heard, wear, wore, worn, be, was, been, forget, forgot, forgotten, become, became, become, lose, lost, lost, cut, 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 swim, swam, swum, make, made, made, hide, hid, hidden, steal, stole, stolen, write, wrote, written, take, took, taken, ride, rode, ridden, break, broke, broken. All right, so now complete the conditional with the verb in the correct form. Pause the video, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So if it had rained yesterday, we would have stayed home. If you had helped me, I would have finished cleaning the house hours ago. If Alan hadn't made so much noise, the baby wouldn't have woken up. And if you hadn't dropped the glass milk bottle, or if you hadn't dropped the milk bottle, you wouldn't have broken it. So if I had studied last night, I would have done better on the test. If she had woken up earlier, she wouldn't have missed the bus. Now she's going to be late for school. It's your fault. She wouldn't have left you. She wouldn't have left if you had apologized to her. So if you had checked your work properly, you would have found the mistakes before you gave it to me. Now, complete the third conditional with a form of have. You can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. So if you had had breakfast, you would have had energy all day. If we had had time, we would have had dinner with you at that Chinese restaurant. If Bradley had had a ticket, he wouldn't have had a problem entering the stadium. I wouldn't have had such a large dinner if I had had something to eat at lunch. Now complete each third conditional with a verb in the correct form. Again, you can pause the video, try these on your own, and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. If you had read the label on your shirt, you wouldn't have washed it in hot water. Now it's ruined. Lasagna would have tasted better if you had bought the correct ingredients. Film would have been better if it had been about half an hour shorter. And if you had told a lie to her, you would have gotten in trouble. If you hadn't told the lie. Worse, I would have paid for dinner if I hadn't forgotten my wallet. Well, what can I say? If you had studied harder at college, you would have found a better job. What a waste of a day. If it hadn't rained all day, I would, oops, would have gone to the park and played football. If you had handed in that report on time, Mr. Azir wouldn't, oops, gotten angry again. All right, so choose the best option. Choose the option that best completes each sentence. If you hadn't, if you hadn't left the door open, the dog wouldn't have escaped. If we had been more careful, we wouldn't have had an accident. Now choose the opinion that best completes each sentence, or choose the option that best completes each sentence. We would have had more time if you had packed your suitcase before. If there hadn't been heavy traffic, oh no, so if there had been heavy traffic, we wouldn't have made it to the airport in time. Now make a third conditional sentence about each situation. First one's done for you. Damien came to your party, so you weren't disappointed. But if he hadn't come, I would have been disappointed. So try these on your own and then restart when you're ready to check your answers. You told your friend Maya not to see that new horror movie. Maya saw it and she hated it. So, but if she hadn't seen it, she wouldn't have been disappointed. Or if you hadn't told her to see it, she wouldn't have seen it. Be another way to another sentence you could make. You told your children to close the front door properly. They didn't, and your cat got away. But if they had closed the door properly, the cat wouldn't have gotten away. Your friend Noah cheated on his test. The teacher saw that he was cheating and she gave him a failing grade. But if she hadn't seen him, he would not have gotten a failing grade, or if he hadn't cheated, the teacher wouldn't have seen him. Now look at the picture and answer the question using the third conditional. What would have happened if they had left earlier? Well, they wouldn't have missed the bus. What would have happened if she hadn't dropped her phone? Her phone wouldn't have gotten broken. What would have happened if she had known it would rain? She would have brought an umbrella, or she wouldn't have gotten wet. And what would have happened if she had gone to bed earlier? She would not have fallen asleep in class. What would have happened if she had set a timer? She wouldn't have burned the cookies. What would have happened if he had been more careful? He wouldn't have broken the vase. What would have happened if he had worn sunscreen? He wouldn't have gotten a sunburn. Now, you can answer this one in the comments to generate some conversation. Answer these from your own personal experience. Uh, using a third conditional. If I'd gone to a different school, I would have, if I'd woken up earlier today, I wouldn't have met my best friend. And if I had been less afraid, and go ahead and complete those, and you can share your answers in the comments. This is also an activity that you could try in the comments, creating a chain. Create a chain of third conditional sentences. So start with one conditional and then discuss the consequences. So for example, if I had woken up earlier, I wouldn't have missed the bus. If I hadn't missed the bus, I would have arrived on time. If I had arrived on time, and then keep it going. And then you can start with any of these, and I challenge everyone to maybe start one in the comments and see how long we can keep it going with each person adding a new sentence. And that brings us to the end of today's video. Please like, subscribe, share, participate in the comments, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.